What's up, everybody? Today we're going to be going over everybody's favorite elves in game. Nobody will comment and say that they don't have a favorite elf. I know everybody has a elf distinction, but today we'll be going over Night Elves and the Night Elf starting zone. And I will try to explain millennia of Night Elf history to my wife in about an hour. So wish me luck. See you on the other side of the intro. And we are back. Just want to thank everybody for continue watching the shorts. I really appreciate that. I did a lot of research for this one. Not only did I play a Night Elf, but I had to read a lot just to kind of set up where the Night Elves are in the beginning starting zone. So this one was a lot of fun. I forget a lot of the Night Elf lore sometimes and like Illidan's lore and everything, but we're going to go over it. So let's go ahead and get started and start with our first question. What do you know about Night Elves?
Nothing.
Yes, you do. Yeah, you know something.
They're elves.
No, Malfurion, Illidan.
Oh, they're night elves?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're all Night Elves. Yeah.
I couldn't remember. You gave me a lot of information about them. The one turns into a demon, and that's all I remembered.
Yes, that's Illidan.
So that was the important part.
Yes, and then Malfurion was the druid that you looked at, and you.
I thought they were. Let's really quick.
Okay.
That first episode,
Fever Dream,
downloaded a lot of information into my head. I thought they were humans this entire time.
The Night Elves.
Specifically the two characters for which you just named.
Oh, no, Malfurion.
And then the one turned into a demon and became sexy, and that's all that mattered.
I thought you thought Malfurion was sexy.
Who turns into a demon?
Illidan, but Malfurion is the guy with the horns on his head, and he turns into a druid.
So yeah, okay. We'll do a refresher.
Okay.
Anyway. Okay, Night Elves. They have darker skin.
Yep. Whoa, yes.
They're not drow.
Yes.
Because I asked you that.
Yes.
But I don't, like, other than that, I really don't have much other information. Like,
okay.
My elf knowledge is wood elves.
Which Night Elves are basically wood elves.
Okay. So they're like around nature?
Yes.
And they're nature based in powers and such
stuff. Yes.
So all right. So I know a little bit more. I guess I didn't know that there were night elves in this world.
Okay. So what you have to understand about Night Elves, particularly in this setting, is that besides trolls, they're the oldest race on Azeroth.
Okay.
And this, I'm not even going to mention it because of the meme, but the meme of it is that basically trolls, in the way that I view it, so there were trolls, right? And then Elune, which we'll get into. Elune is not a thing. She's basically she's like the moon goddess.
Okay. I think you told me that before.
Okay, yeah. So Elune, basically groomed this pack of trolls. That's the best way I can explain it. She groomed this pack of trolls called the Shadowtooth that were living under the mountains of their sacred mountain called Mount Hyjal.
Okay.
So that she groomed these trolls and set them on this journey to the Well of Eternity. They moved to the Well of Eternity, and over thousands of years, they morphed from trolls into.
This is like the aquatic ape theory.
Sure, just like it, same thing.
There's a theory that
no. I know what the aquatic ape theory is. Sorry, there's something in my beard.
Right, for those that don't know, really quickly, it's that at one point apes broke off, some stayed and then went to the mountains and some went into the water, and then that's where mermaids come from.
Yep, that's science.
I mean,
nobody fact check that. That's definitely science.
Animal Planet put out the documentary. It may have been fake, but that's a relative.
It was 100% fake.
Anyway,
there's that whole video that
I know. Yeah. They were actors. They were all actors. I'm not dumb.
Yes.
But that's kind of what you just said. They
Yeah.
evolved. They evolved.
Yes, they definitely evolved, and more in a way, and we'll get into this a little bit more, is that, like, for me, Elune was grooming them to kinda become Night Elves so that they would worship her.
I don't want to talk about grooming. I just want to understand what she did that makes you use that terminology.
So, like, oh god, this is, like, high level. We'll get into it. I'm not
Okay.
as we go on more and understand Night Elf culture, you'll, like, understand what
Okay.
I mean by that.
Sorry, we're getting really real with these now. Like, this isn't just silly. Like, I want to know.
Yeah. Well, I also hope that YouTube doesn't bang us for saying groom.
No, there's something. We're not talking about it in like a
Yeah, like,
insensitive way.
I mean,
We're just,
maybe if the AI goes groom, but then we said not PDF file, but the real word, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Um, so let's go ahead and
It's not alive. Sorry.
unalive, yes, all the YouTube terms that you have to use on the platform. Anyway, first things first, Night Elves have always had a major role in the Warcraft universes, being one of the oldest creatures on Azeroth, besides trolls. We just went over that. The Burning Legion, which is that demon army that comes from space, has affected the Night Elves the most because they are the keepers of the Well of Eternity. So the Well of Eternity it was at one time basically the source of all magic on the world. So that's why the Sundering happens, is because they're trying to come through the Well of Eternity and it cracks the world. So that's how much power and nuance just this well of water kind
Mm.
of holds. Is it kind of it ties all the magics of Azeroth through it. So it's very, very important in World of Warcraft lore, but doubly important in Night Elf lore. The Night Elves, to try to stop, and we'll go into this a little bit more. So when the Sundering happens, the reason the Sundering happens is because High Elves, which are different from Night Elves, all lived in the same community. Night Elves were like the high class of the community, and yes, High Elves were the high class of the community, so they were like the magic casters, the arcane casters, stuff like that. And Night Elves were the lower crust of society. When the Sundering happens, basically all the Night Elves all the High Elves are sunk to the bottom of the sea because um, they are trying to bring demons through the Well of Eternity. Because of that, they get sunk into the bottom of the sea. They make a deal with what it's called the Old Gods, which is a whole nother rabbit hole. And to survive at the bottom of the sea, their queen at the time, Queen Ajara, makes a pact with the Old Gods, and they turn them into these aquatic creatures called Naga, which are like snake people. So there's no good way to explain this all. So it's going to be confusing for a while, then it'll stop being confusing. So after that happens, Night Elves and High Elves and High Elves don't really exist in a certain way. They do still exist, and the ones that aren't completely destroyed become the Blood Elves, and they'll be reintroduced later into the game. But the biggest important thing to take over that is that because all that happened, the remaining Night Elves, not build, but they plant a seed, and the seed becomes a tree, and that tree is called Nordrassil, and Nordrassil is where the Night Elves live. I know, we'll get into it. I already knew what you were gonna say. Nordrassil was where the Night Elves were for a long time until the Third War, and we'll go over what happens in the Third War. What's up?
I can't even form words because it's just so it's so deep. And I know that's the point of us going over this stuff and talking about this. It's just like I truly, truly did not fully like
So this is more in books. Like, this isn't necessarily in Warcraft 3. This is more in supplemental, like, books.
no, I understand. It's just it's dawning on me how deep this fandom goes and how deep this lore goes. I mean, I can't think of a single piece of media that I consume
Mm,
that is this deep. I mean, you could say Legend of Zelda, there is a lot of lore,
yeah.
but also, like, the timelines don't make any sense at all. Like, you have to sit down there, like...
And then, like, I was watching a video there might be multiple timelines.
Yeah.
And so this is one continuous timeline.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and this goes very, very, very deep.
Yes.
So it's just, I'm doing my best to take in everything that you're saying, but there's a lot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's a
that's
lot.
all.
The other reason they put the tree on top of the Well of Eternity is because they want to stop the magic of the Well of Eternity of seeping out. So they put it one there as like, okay, nobody can get to the Well of Eternity without burning our tree down and actually like physically causing us harm. So we're like the last caretakers of the Well of Eternity. And so that like, because the way arcane magic and magic in general works in the universe, it can kind of just spread out and it can kind of seep from it. So they were like, let's put a tree on top of this bitch. And that way we know the Well of Eternity and its magic won't like be siphoned out somehow. So that is Nordrassil, their tree.
But they can still use magic. It's not that they can't use magic.
They choose not to because of the events of
Okay.
the High Elves and trying to summon the Burning Legion. Basically what happens is, because the Well of Eternity grants all magic, those High Elves were using a whole bunch of magic and arcane magic, and the Burning Legion sniffs that out because the magic is so strong.
It's my work phone, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Because the magic is so strong. So the Burning Legion, because the magic is so strong, can kind of like sniff that out. And that's why they know that there's people or there's creatures on Azeroth that are sentient and smart enough to use arcane magic. So that's sort of the importance of the Well of Eternity. It kind of, because they were using it and they were using it for magic and they were using it in arcane magic,
they were just like, yeah, you just can't have any of it.
Yes, that's basically the whole thing with that.
This is making me think of in The Magicians, the later season, when they like, yes, Popper 23.
Yeah.
When they like turn the
lever off
and they turn all the magic off.
Yeah, it's sort of similar to that. So this is where we're gonna go back to. So Nordrassil is definitely a reference to Yggdrasil, which, as people don't know, is the tree of life. I know there's going to be people in the comments that are like, you don't know enough about Norse mythology, and I do, but I'm trying to condense it. Yggdrasil is the tree of life when it comes to Norse mythology. It basically connects all of the many worlds of Norse mythology. So you have like the middle realm, which is we're on, then you have, the Thor realm, then you have the underrealm and all that. So in that sense, Yggdrasil, which is the Norse mythology, basically connects all those things. And then there's 3 Norn under that are spinning the yarn of fate, if you will. Yggdrasil is also where Odin hangs off that tree for, I think, like 3 months so that he can get the magic to speak in the runes. So obviously a little bit of a rip of that, but I think that the longer I play World of Warcraft, it like works more than any of the other Norse mythology, because Night Elves, in a way, are kind of like what dwarves are. I know this is going to sound weird, but like there are dwarves in Norse mythology, but they're more like, or dark dwarves. I forget, but the dark dwarves are kind of like what the Night Elves are in World of Warcraft. So
I mean, if anything, Blizzard or those that are in charge,
Chris Metzen is the guy that wrote the original lore,
took a lot from a lot of different mythologies.
Yes, but I just want to acknowledge, like, sort of.
I mean, that the name of the tree is way too like on the nose.
Yeah, it's definitely on your nose, right?
You can't ignore it.
Yeah. So okay, so Nordrassil, the original tree, and you'll see why I'm saying the original tree, was actually burned during the battle of Mount Hyjal. That is the last battle of basically Warcraft 3. So that's kind of where Warcraft 3 ends. And the reason it burns down is because one of the most major demons in the Burning Legion, his name is Archimond, and the Burning Legion is trying to get to the Well of Eternity, and they are being summoned on Azeroth, and they're trying to get to the Well of Eternity, and they have to stop them from getting to the Well of Eternity, because if they get to the Well of Eternity, basically game over, and the Burning Legion wins, and they corrupt Azeroth.
Yeah.
So the Well of Eternity can also be used as a portal, which the Well of Eternity, the Blood Elves go and actually take some of it, and they make their own thing called the Sunwell. That's later in the game, and that's a little bit different to explain. But both of these things can basically be used as portals to summon a shit ton of demons in, and that's what the Burning Legion wants to do. So
Perfect.
during the Battle of Mount Hyjal, which is the sacred mountain of the Night Elves, Archimonde destroys Nordrassil, and that is basically a huge thing for Night Elves, because that tree had been around for thousands of years. That was like their tree, that was their sacred tree. So when he burns that down, they in a sense have to restart again. So they restarted like 2 times now, and that's basically the biggest part of Night Elf lore, is that they're like always kind of restarting, because the Well of Eternity gives them all this power, but it also fucks everything up.
Too much power.
How they defeated Archimonde is that, so Night Elves have immortality.
Sure.
You know, I'm just gonna accept everything at this point. Night Elves are immortal, and what happens is when they die, they turn into these things called wisps, and wisps are, I don't want to say the soul is a Night Elves. I tried to do some research on how I could explain wisps, but I just end up confusing myself even more.
Do you have an exact like description or that they gave you?
Not in my notes, no, because it was just so frustrating to try to. It's basically the soul of dead Night Elves.
No, I'm not
and over time that they can like regenerate.
Wisps are ancient spirits of nature that inhabit the forest lands of Kalimdor. They are actually the disembodied spirits of deceased Night Elves who have become one with the forest, though their minds and the way they perceive things is very different than in life. You're right, that's very confusing.
Right.
What was the point of that last sentence? That it wasn't even necessary.
Right. Like, so basically all the Night Elves that have died in the Battle of Mount Hyjal so far in trying to destroy Archimonde all come together in wisp form, and they basically suicide bomb Archimonde, and that's how they kill Archimonde.
You have a wisp as a companion pet?
Yes.
That's really cute.
Because they were immortal, and because they were immortal because of Nordrassil, which is the World Tree. That's also what they call it, the World Tree. When they go and they destroy it, all of those Night Elves, they basically lose their immortality. So at the end of that, that's why it was like the ultimate thing, because of, again, they saved themselves for the better of the world. So all those wisps that went and suicide bombed on Archimonde, I mean, that's what they do. That's literally what they do, is they like suicide bomb him. All of those Night Elves essentially die forever. Because they do that. So
they don't even get a chance to be a wisp.
Yes.
Got it.
Well, they were wisps, and then they all got together, they all got near him, and then they basically suicide bombed.
I misunderstood. Got it.
So that is how Warcraft 3 ends. So in World of Warcraft, they basically restart over the whole lore again. They start over a new world tree called Teldrassil, which is the new world tree. And that is where their city of Darnassus, and I'm not going to forget the name of that fucking city this episode. That's where their new world tree is. It's over Teldrassil. So because of that, they essentially are starting all over again. Now, why this doesn't matter as a player character Night Elf is that you never die in World of Warcraft. When you do die, there's something called a spirit healer, and if you talk to it, it basically says it's not your time, you still need to go and do other shit, and you just run to your body and resurrect.
Got it.
So even though that they have lost their immortality, they have the plot armor, and so it doesn't really matter when you're a Night Elf player.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first half. So Night Elves are also called Kaldori, which is Elvish for people. I think it's people of the stars, people of the stars. So that's difference because you'll get into the High Elves who are called Queldori, which means that they are the people of the sun or people of the moon. Anyway, so interchangeably.
Really should have done some research.
No, I did. It's just at the bottom, and we'll get to it. The Queldori are the High Elves. The Kaldori are the Night Elves.
Okay.
The reason that's important is because they will call each other Kaldori.
Okay.
There's also factions that are like the Kaldorian Resistance or whatever. So I never understood as a kid what the fuck Kaldori meant, or Kaldori meant until I like learned, and I was like, oh, so that's what they call themselves. And that's what they would call each other. They like the term Night Elves is like what the rest of the world calls
Right.
them, but they would call themselves Kaldor.
Like in their own language, it makes sense.
Yeah. So because of all the arcane magic and all that other magic shit they do, when they become Night Elves and they're separated, a big part of the Night Elf culture is that they need to protect nature. And that they not only do they need to protect nature, but they like actively need to protect nature. So it's not like some PETA shit. It's like we have to take like a like a day to day like how we live our lives. We have to protect nature, because they believe themselves, and they probably are the stewards of the nature on Azeroth. Night Elves have a connection with the Wild Gods, which we kind of went over with the Loa before, but the Wild Gods are, there's a cosmology chart, and I don't want to get into it because I would just can confuse you, but Wild Gods are like if 1, 2, 3. So Wild Gods are not the highest gods, but they're like sub-gods of sub-gods, if that makes sense. Wild Gods are very important, and they're literally like manifestations of nature. So there's like a boar wild god. The one that is important to Night Owl specifically is Cenarion, and he is a centaur one. He has like giant fucking horns and shit. So Cenarion is like very important to him, but he is a wild god. So I just wanted to kind of make that note.
Now hold on. You gotta circle back.
Uh-huh.
His giant horns.
Yes.
Is he a minotaur?
No, he's a centaur. He has 4 legs and a man body.
Thank you.
Just I know there was some
confusion
last episode.
And it's very important to me that doesn't happen.
Oh, that's important to you. Okay. All right, so Night Elves have a connection with the Wild Gods, and then they have connections with these things called Dryads, which are not essentially, they are the daughters of the Wild God Cenarion, and Cenarion has daughters. Don't ask me who the mom is. I don't think there is mom. I just think they're part of the lore. They don't have a mom. They don't need a mom. And the Dryads also work with the Night Elves, and if the Wild Gods are here, then the Dryad are like 2 beneath them. They don't have like enough, like they can do nature magic and they can kind of like fuck with nature a little bit, but they can't really like, how would I explain it? They can't really like, they're not like powerful like a god. You understand what I'm saying? Because they are a daughter of a wild god. Daughters, and the Dryads have always had a connection with the Night Elves, and when that troll clan that I explained in the beginning was coming over to the Well of Eternity, they were being led there by dryads and shit. So when I say they were grooming them, that's sort of what I mean.
Okay.
And all of those dryads and sort of Cenarius are all kind of under Elune, who is like a mysterious magical moon goddess.
Got it.
All right, so the next thing we have to go over is what's called the Emerald Dream. The Emerald Dream is something that is druids can go there, but particularly Night Elves in particular have a connection with the Emerald Dream. And basically what the Emerald Dream is it's like the spirit world of Azeroth.
Okay.
So the Emerald Dream is what Azeroth would have looked like if it was never touched by like sentient creatures. So it's just basically animals and how the earth was before anybody. And it is a realm that runs side to side with Azeroth. There's some things in the Emerald Dream, and we'll go into this when we go into like druids and shit.
Mm-hmm.
The Emerald Dream can kind of affect the real life of Azeroth, but Azeroth can't affect what's happening on the Emerald Dream. And this isn't in my notes, but we should go over this too. There are different sort of dragons that in the World of Warcraft universe that deal with different things. What's important with Night Elves is the green dragon flight. So those are green dragons, and Ysera is part of the green dragons. And Ysera has basically always been friends with the Night Elves and always led the Night Elves and stuff. So that's not really in my notes, but all the different dragon flights do different things. There's a bronze dragon flight. They take care of time. So all the dragon flights basically take care of different like aspects of the universe. So they're sort of like physical manifestations of like concepts in the game. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So to talk about druids in the Emerald Dream, the druids they fall asleep and then they can basically transport their body into the Emerald Dream. And
Astral projection.
Astral projection out this bitch, yeah. And in the Emerald Dream, they can like talk to the nature spirits. They can like be asleep in real life, and time passes differently in the Emerald Dream. So they can learn how to become a better druid. They can learn like what's going on in Azeroth. They can kind of view it through the Emerald Dream, like as far as corruption and things like that. And then they can also like I said, go in there and train to be a druid and shit. But when they are dreaming and they go into the Emerald Dream, their physical bodies remain on Azeroth, so they're basically just astral projecting. And if their bodies get attacked or they get killed in the real life, it severs the link, and then they'll basically go to the version of WoW Hell called the Shadowlands, which is a giant retcon, and we're not going to go into that. But basically, if they die in real life, they don't just go living in the Emerald Dream. They actually like literally die, and it's like really bad for them. So a lot of the early quests within the Night Elf Zone, or not a lot, but there's some quests that's like you got to go protect the dreaming druids, because if not, they could die, and that could be a real big thing. And yeah, that's basically what you need to know about the Emerald Dream for now. So like I said, Night Elves, Night Elves drink a lot of Red Bull. No, Night Elves, like I said, have this connection with nature. So a lot of the early quests, I think like when I was doing it, I counted it, maybe the first 3 to 4 out of the first 20 quests you do all have to do with like culling one species of like say there's boars and there's boars and then there's tigers. Like literally literally the first couple quests, or a lot of the quests, have to do with killing those so that you can bring nature in harmony, because there's too many boars or there's too many tigers.
Which is like, kind of like what
yeah,
we do.
what PETA should be doing. This anti-PETA episode.
No, I was gonna. I mean, that's what we do in real life with like deer hunting and stuff.
Yes, yeah. So to protect the balance of nature and everything, they're doing like these side quests of trying to make sure the populations are good, making sure that we don't have a large population of tigers, because that would affect nature, and likewise with boar. Night Elves protect nature, so in turn nature itself helps the Night Elves. So that when I called you in the other night to show you the Wandering Ancient, which was the giant tree guy, we'll put that on screen. Those things help the Night Elves because the Night Elves help nature.
Mhm.
I don't think it's really explicitly stated anywhere, and I don't think it's within the Night Elf nature to not help nature,
Mhm.
but there is this implication of if they stop helping them, then those things will stop helping Night Elves. Night like those were so in Warcraft 3, they all have like special units or whatever. So Dryads and the Wandering Protectors were the special units of the Night Elves. So instead of having like the dwarves had like a steam tank, the humans had catapults, the Night Elves had like the Wandering Tree Protector. So it was essentially like a tank unit
Mhm.
where it could take on a shit ton of other units.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It couldn't move too fast, but it can take on a shit ton of other units. And again, this is all because they refuse arcane magic, which is the magic of like mages and shit. So Night Elves have all this power with druid magic and earth magic because they protected nature and nature in turn is protecting them. Now we have to talk about furbolgs. Yes. Furbolgs are less intelligent life forms. They're like half bear, half human. Go ahead, you can Google furbolg.
Because I'm thinking that it's like something, but I have to see it first.
It's a humanoid. It's like a humanoid bear thing.
Yeah, so it's basically um oh my god.
Yeah, now it's your turn to forget that.
Um
I'm sure there's something in Dungeons and Dragons. Don't say owlbear.
no, there is. It's a oh my god. What I can't.
Just type in Dungeons and Dragons furbolg, and it will probably type it, and probably get pulled up.
No, but they do have fur bowls, but that's not
Bugbears?
bugbears.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Good lord,
I
who's gonna lose? I wrote bear. I wrote bear. I wrote bear man. I wrote something else. Yes, they look like bugbears. They are bugbears.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
cool. So another thing, stolen. Sorry.
so furbolgs and the relation with night owls is furbolgs don't speak like a language that night owls can understand. So it's basically what's her name? Jane Goodman, and she goes out there with the gorillas. That's basically what the night owls are Jane Goodman, and the furbolgs are the gorillas.
Yeah, no, I understood.
The night owls feel a lot that the night elves feel personally responsible for the furbolgs because they've been around and living in harmony with night elves for a long, long time.
They're cute little guys. I'll give them that.
They are cute little guys. They also feel very responsible for the happenings of furbolgs because it's like a wild sentient creature,
Mhm.
but also because of their close proximity to night elves, the Burning Legion and other forces that are trying to corrupt night elves will try to corrupt the furbolgs so that they will try to corrupt the furbolgs so that they can get closer to the night elves. So the night elves always have a close personal responsibility or inclined responsibility by themselves to try to help the furbolgs because they feel responsible for all the bad shit that happens to furbolgs.
So I just need you to know
Uh-huh.
there are actually so we have fur FUR bolg BOLG, and that is WoW. And then in D&D they actually have something that looks like it's spelled FIR.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I'm sorry. My big fat fucking hand, sorry. And they look more like
More human?
yes.
Okay. Yeah.
But like I just
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain that,
Yeah, no.
but not even the same
No.
at all.
Yeah, that's very strange.
This is a cute little guy.
That's not a cute little guy.
That's a cute little guy. Kind of looks like you.
Anyway, also just to call back because I don't know why I went deep into this, but furbolgs are also in Irish mythology, and they're basically wild people within that too. And every time I read about Irish mythology, I just think that the furbolgs that they're like talking about are like the Furbolgs in WoW, and it makes me giggle. But the Furbolgs in Irish mythology are just like kind of wild men. They come from
That's where the D&D pulls there.
yes, it come there. I think they come from the Fomorians in Irish lore, which we're not gonna break that all down. But the Fomorians are basically um another wild race of people in Ireland and Ireland lore.
Furbolg.
I'm a Furbolg. Um, Furbolgs, like I said, are a proto race, so they have been around. And when I was reading that Furbolgs were an abundant before the Sundering, so that's another reason the Night Elves feel bad, because they feel like Furbolgs could have been like more sentient and could have been like bigger helps to them. But then because the Sundering happens, they basically all get ripped apart. So there's this deep sort of connection the Night Elves have to the Furbolgs. One, because I think
They're endangered.
they're endangered, yes. Two, they've always been around and they've always tried to work with them. And three, I think that the Night Elves kind of view them as like the closest like missing link, like bear thing in nature. You understand what I'm saying? Even though that Night Elves and Furbolgs are not like part of the same line of people, they've just always kind of been around.
Yeah.
And Night Elf culture has always tried to work with the Furbolgs. So another thing we have to go over, and you can look this up, is satyrs. Satyrs, do you know what a satyr is?
Little goat guys?
Yes. So same sort of deal. Wow. They're little goat guys.
Danny DeVito?
Danny DeVito, yeah, Danny DeVito, not in the Jersey Mike's commercial, but in the movie Hercules. Which is like the third time that's come up in this pod.
Because we saw it was on TV at K-Pop the last time.
Oh yeah. That's right. So satyrs are bestial demons that are also in the Night Elf zones, and they also have a deep connection with Night Elves, and that's because there was. So in High Elf culture, Queen Ajara was the queen, and she was also very gifted with magic. The next person that was gifted with magic was someone called Lord Xavius, and Lord Xavius was like, if Queen Ajara was here as the most powerful wizard, he was like right there. And Lord Xavius, I think, is the first person that made contact with the Burning Legion and kind of put Queen Ajara on their level. So I think they reached out to Xavius, or he discovered them first. Lord Xavius somehow, again, thousands of years ago, does something to piss off the Burning Legion. So for his insolence and for his mistakes, they turn him into the first satyr, and that's where the satyr come from. So the reason the satyr are well connected to Night Elves is because Lord Xavius is still trying to get back at the Night Elves for basically stopping his plans, and then just existing because whatever. So Satyr, Furbolgs, there's a lot of nature things, but the two most uh quest NPCs or things they're gonna kill are the Furbolgs and are the Satyr in the initial WoW zones. So yeah, we're still not through basically everything. So we kind of went over this, but we'll go over it a little bit more. Night Elves, High Elves, and Blood Elves. So, like I explained, the Qualdori and the Caldori. The Queldori are the High Elves. The Caldori are the Night Elves. Basically, how that works is that the Caldori or the High Elves can use magic, and it's sort of like how America is now, where like if your parents use magic or your parents are rich, then you're also rich and you can also use magic. But if your parents were poor, you were using druid magic. And again, I'm paraphrasing. And so that's how that society was broken into. Basically, if you could use the arcane magic, you were Caldori, you were Queldori rather, and if you couldn't, you were Caldori. Illidan is a big when he's still a night elf and not a demon, he has a big thing because he has the Queldori have, I think, blue eyes. Yes, the Queldora have blue eyes. So when Illidan is born, he has one yellow eye and one blue eye, which means he can be either Queldor or Caldor, but he was born in the lower caste.
Yeah.
But as a child and as a kid, a lot of people are interested in Illidan because they've never seen that before.
Yeah.
And he was always destined for great things. So what?
He keeps leaning on the
No, he's a leaner. He's a leaner. He's a leaner.
little boy.
Um. So the sundering happens. Splits the continents up. Pangea, whatever. Is he still out there?
Now Sage is sniffing the box.
Okay. So where was I?
You were saying that he had one.
Oh yeah. So Illidan, and again, we're not going to get into this because this is even more nature and why this happens. But Illidan is called the betrayer first, not because he betrays everybody by working with the Burning Legion, but he's called the betrayer before that because he essentially stops the High Elves from summoning the demons in. And so that's why he's called the betrayer, because he stops that. And that's why the High Elves have a big hatred for him, even though later in the game, in Warcraft 3, the Naga, the Naga do hate him, but a faction of the Naga do work with Illidan a little bit, but it's only out of like a matter of like circumstance. They're not wanting to, because Illidan basically is the reason that the High Elves die, get plunged to the ocean, and then they turn into really ugly snake people or really hot snake people if you're a fucking weird ass furry.
Hang on, let me look at him. I'll tell you.
Naga?
Yeah.
You can just type in Queen Ashara Naga.
Queen.
Azschara.
You added so many letters.
Yeah, it was close enough.
Oh, she's hot. What do you mean?
Are you seeing her in her Naga form? Or are you seeing her in her Night Elf form?
Okay.
Now, she's the hottest one of all of them. They're not all hot. Queen Azara was always a hottie. That's a big thing with her, is people were so smitten
Like
with
this version, whatever that. She's hot. That's hot. I'm into that.
So yes, so that's a little bit to go over.
Can you play as a Naga?
No, you cannot.
Bullshit.
And
that's why I'm not playing.
Because I can't play as a Naga yet. So the reason you have to go over all this is just to explain that there are Night Elf ruins all over Kalimdor of all these different cities. So you'll just be walking all over Kalimdor, and there's even a couple dungeons, Dire Maw being one, that are just old Night Elf cities that have like remnant arcane magic in them, if that makes sense. So like different other species know this, and they'll go into those runes trying to hopefully to find like a book or a tome that the High Elves left. And successfully a couple do this. Dire Maw, which was an old Night Elf city, the fuck are they called? Oh my god. The giants, I know they're not called giants, the ogres. The ogres go into Dire Maw and basically are there. One, they make it like a city of operation for them, and then two, they're there because ogres somehow can be mages, and they are trying to like learn all this high elf magic. So throughout Kalimdor, you'll always just kind of see night elf like ruins and shit. In That was always cool playing because you were like, what the fuck is going here? And then you like Google the quest zone, and it's like, oh, it's an old Night Elf city. And then you're like, what the fuck is going over here? And it's like, there's just Night Elf ruins literally all over the place. And that to me is, even when we're talking about Norse mythology, so when the British, not the British, when the Romans go over to what they call Gaul, which is in England and Ireland the first time, they build a whole bunch of shit. They're recalled back to Rome. They don't come back to Gaul for hundreds of years later. But when they get back, there's all this old Greco-Roman and Roman architecture, and they're mystified because they're like, damn, we were here already. You know what I mean? So just to go back to how the Night Elves are like Norse lore and Irish lore and stuff like that, it's very reminiscent of that. And two, they kind of have to live in the ruins, which is what the English and the Irish had to do in that time between when Rome comes the first time and Rome comes the second time. So, in a lot of little ways, there's a lot of subtle throwbacks to basically England and Ireland, specifically England, and the ruins of like older civilizations and such. Sheesh. All right, we're almost there. Night Elf Society. So you're gonna like this. Um, Men are typically druids. It doesn't mean women can't be druids, but men are typically druids in the game. Or in WoW lore and Warcraft lore. So they were always the druids, which left the women's to be the women's. The women to be the protectors, and the women are what are called Night Elf Sentinels. So they're basically warriors, and they have these cool fucking glade things where it's like two double swords, and
that's my favorite kind of weapon to use.
what glaives? Yeah.
Yeah.
Women's are usually, I don't know why
Why
people
you say women?
Lamins. Women are usually sentinels and or priests, and the reason women are priests, and again, night elf men can still be priests. I think they should have done this in World of Warcraft. In Korean MMOs, classes sometimes are locked behind. Like if you want to be a warrior, you have to be a man.
Yes.
So WoW didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
And I think it would have been cool. Now they do ruin Night Elves down the line again because in later expansions, Night Elves can become mages, which is like completely antithetical to fucking the whole storyline. And I know they were just trying to. There's this thing in game where they will say it's a system, not like a lore thing. And I understand that, but it would have been really cool if Night Elves could still not be mages. Every time.
I agree. What did we play? Lost Ark?
Mhm.
And like I couldn't be
Yeah, one of the classes.
like barbarian or something as a woman.
Yeah. Um, now traditionally in Night Elf culture, the men were always druids and the females were either the sentinels or the fucking or the priests, which we'll get into why women are priests here in a little. But yes, I think that would have been cool. Now I understand people would have been in arms and be like, well, I can't, especially because the early gooners, I don't even think they were called gooners then. A lot of men will make female night elves just to look at their butt. Yeah. So I think the gooners would have been up in arms, but I think it would have been a nice touch, specifically because, and this is not a conspiracy theory, I think they flat out said it. All the alliance races had really pre-established lore, and they spent a lot of time on all the alliance races, and they spent less time on the horde races. So they always had this bias early game for the alliance. Now I don't think it's as much like that. But in the early game, you can really tell that that all of the allied races are like fleshed. All the ally races are fleshed out way more than the horde is. So, but there was more ally lore in general, just because they had been writing about them and they had been in game longer. So yes. So the reason female night elves can be priest magic is not the same as arcane magic.
Yeah, because that's the Lord's magic.
Hallelujah. Well, kind of, yeah, actually. Elune is a moon goddess. So Elune is what I was talking about before. It was the moon. You can just picture her as the moon. And she has been shrouded in secrecy since the beginning. They've always kind of kept what Elune was a secret, whether she was like a physical manifestation. Now later you run into Elune's sister, who's called the Night Princess, the Night Queen, excuse me. And she is in basically, oh god, so Shadowlands, what I said before, which is their version of hell, is split up into different sort of people and things go to different sorts of hell. So the night elf and the nature green dragon version of hell is called Ardenweld, and Ardenweld is the Night Queen's domain, and she's Elune's sister. Now, even she doesn't really understand what Elune is, so and I thought they were going to elaborate more on that expansion of what Elune was, but Elune is like this super secret entity that is the moon, and is controlling and can do all this shit, but we really don't know what she is. We know what she is, but we don't know like what she is. So Elune is very important in Night Elf society. That is like their main god deity. And because she's a woman, or she's like a female deity, that's why females are more drawn to be priests if they're going to get into magic. Where men, and again, this isn't exactly stated, Cenarius he's like a male wild god. So that's why the druids are all sort of male. Now, again, this doesn't always happen, but that's how Night Elf society was before World of Warcraft started. Now, the interesting thing about Elune and Night Elf priests is that humans and their power of holy light comes from the light, which is a completely different thing from Elune.
Okay.
So, and again, they never really went over this too much, but the light is a whole complete different entity, and that's what gives human paladins and the rest of paladins and priests, not of the Night Elf society, that's what gives them their power, is something called the light, which is something that is completely different than Elune and everything. So the Tauren, which are on the Horde side, but are also in Kalimdor, know who Elune is, but they don't worship strictly Elune. They worship a subsect of gods that Elune is part of, like a different sort of pantheon, if you will. But the Night Elves' main sort of worship is towards Elune. So that is something that when I went and replayed this time, I was like, oh wow, they really get their priest power from Elune. Now, their spells don't look any different. Like the priest spells don't look any different if you're a night elf or anything. So you wouldn't know that unless you specifically read it in game or knew it in game. But canonically, they get their powers from Elune, whereas human and dwarves get their priestly powers from the light. And the Tauren, which I don't think originally have any priests or anything originally. I don't think you could make a Tauren priest originally. Know that Elune exists, but again, it exists in a larger pantheon. So kind of think about it how like both Norse and Irish mythology both had the same gods, but they were under different names and they did different sort of things, but it was basically the same person. That's how Elune is for the Night Elves.
And I'm sorry, just for my own clarification, you're saying priest, is that like a cleric?
Yes, that is a cleric. So priests can have a couple different specs. So specs is like your specialization. So priests can be like just a regular cleric priest. They can be also something called a shadow priest, which is essentially, it's still a priest, but it like is the dark side of the light and the dark side of Elune. So it's more of a damage class instead of a healing class. Yeah. So back to the Sentinels. The Sentinels are pretty bitchin', pretty badass. I don't think Maiev Shadow Song, and we'll go into who Maiev was originally a Sentinel, but Maiev is basically the protagonist to Illidan's antagonist. And Maiev Shadow Song is like this bitchin' ass fucking Night Elf warrior that is going around. Once Illidan betrays everybody and becomes a demon, she basically is chasing him down to capture him, to make him pay for all the things that he's done. And Maiev Shadow Song, besides Tyrande, is probably one of the most badass Night Elf women in that culture. So yeah. So Darnassus, which I am not going to forget. Sorry, one more thing. So women, like I said, are the sentinels, and they have to. And the reason women are more sentinels is because all the men's are druids, and they're like basically fucking sleeping all the time because they're in the Emerald Dream.
They're astral projecting.
Right, but I mean, it's called the Emerald Dream, so they're literally sleeping.
So women are like, I guess we're gonna defend the town or whatever.
Yeah, so that's why that dynamic happens.
Lazy men.
Yes, yes.
Good for nothing man.
I put that there specifically so you could have that rant. I wrote that rant into the script. So
Chrissy's going to rant about.
yeah. So because the men are sleeping basically in the Emerald Dream, astral projecting, the women have to protect everything. Hello, women.
What up?
Yeah. So
We're having the babies and we're protecting the town.
right. So
unless you throw me a curveball and say the men are the ones that get pregnant, but
no, this isn't like a seahorse type of deal. So
the seahorse don't get pregnant; they just hold the babies. The women, the women still lay the eggs. The men just hold them.
Oh, I didn't. I thought men.
No, they just hold them.
Seahorses could.
I think the women give them the eggs. They then fertilize and then hold the eggs until.
Anyway, we're not. We
Sorry, you know what? Because I love seahorse. Seahorse. Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. And I was like,
don't gender my seahorse, please. Anyway. So Darnassus. Sorry. So Teldrassil and Darnassus.
Okay, remember how I said I needed
yeah, like the laser pointer thing?
But I need like every person we've talked about, every important person we've talked about.
Yeah.
Now I need, instead of this here, I need all of the cities and everything.
So Teldrassil is the zone.
No, I know. Yes, okay.
And that's where you start when you create a new Night Elf. And it's basically on a tree. Now you can't really tell you're on a tree.
I'm sorry, you're not boring me. Long day, but I'm gonna Google what you're saying.
Okay, so just Teldrassil World Tree.
TEL, I'm assuming.
TLDRASSIL. Just Google that in. I get close enough. Teldrassil and Darnassus are basically on the giant world tree. So they're like, I don't know if they're like underneath it or on top of it, or it's like an actual,
I hit an ad by accident.
Or if it's like,
oh, your phone has a virus. I bet it does. Okay. You son of a bitch.
So basically they live on this giant world tree. You got it?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Oh, it's from one of the comics. They have a picture, and I was like,
yeah. So that's the giant world tree that they grow again after Nordrassil dies. So they basically take remnants of Nordrassil.
The town's like on the tree.
Yes. What? Yes. So the town is on the tree, and they
you said it, but I didn't understand.
Yeah. Yeah. So they take remnants of Nordrassil to make and plant Teldrassil for it to grow again, for them to live on it. They also, because Teldrassil isn't blessed like Nordrassil was, they also lose their immortality, which we've gone over. But later down the road in the game, Teldrassil does become blessed by the dragons again, so they get their immortality back.
So,
go ahead.
Teldrassil is the zone.
Yep.
Darnassus is the name of the city.
Yeah,
I got it.
Darnassus is the major city.
Got it.
So almost every race besides the gnomes and the dwarves and the orcs and the trolls have their own major city. Humans is Stormwind, dwarves is Ironforge, Night Elves is Darnassus. On the other side, orcs and trolls are Orgrimmar. The undead is the Undercity, and Tauren is Thunder Bluffs. So they all have like a major city that is like you get all the aesthetics of that race through that city. So Darnassus is on the tree, like I said. It has all these old Night Elf temples that they've either rebuilt or were there in the first place. I think they rebuilt them. Stormwind is the Kingdom of Stormwind, so it's a traditional high fantasy city. It's got castles and stuff like that. Ironforge is in the mountain, so you're in the mountain, so far and so forth. So, but also the starting zones start in that zone where the city is.
Okay.
So Teldrassil is the starter zone that goes to Darnassus. And as you progress in the game, you have to go to the different cities for different things. And because the zones don't like, you can't, and we'll go over this some more, you can't level like 1 to level 60, which is the end game, all in Kalimdor, because there might be like, if I'm just remembering it, you'll have like level 1 through 10 is in Teldrassil, and then you go to Darkshore, and then after that you have to go get a boat to go over to where the humans and stuff are, to go from like, let's say, level 20 to 35, and then you'll come back and you'll come to Desolace, which is back on Kalimdor. So what they didn't want to do, and thank you for bringing this up, what they didn't want to do is they didn't want to have all the Horde on Kalimdor and all the Alliance on Eastern Kingdom. So the reason that there are undead on Eastern Kingdoms, one, they're from there because they're zombies and they kind of recame up. But two, the Night Elves are sort of the counter of that for Kalimdor, because they are the only ally race that starts off in Kalimdor.
Got it.
And undead is the only horde race that starts off on the Eastern Kingdoms. You understand what I'm saying? Now we're going to go into some conspiracy theories and some stuff like that to wrap it up. There is a conspiracy theory that it makes more sense and the Night Elves would be part of the Horde. And I'm going to tell you why that's true and why that's untrue. The Night Elves, it would make more sense that the Night Elves are part of the Horde because they are basically just another Native American tribe, right? They like live in the wild, like the orcs and the Tauren. The orcs and the Tauren the Tauren could be druids and the Night Elves could be druids. So they have always kind of been working together, and they've always had this like connection to each other because they can both be druids and shit. Why they can't be that is because, and I want to Google this correctly, sorry. I believe the orcs kill Cenarion rather. Orcs kill Cenarius. Yeah, so basically what happens, Cenarius is the main Night Elf wild god. He is the one who originally teaches Malfurion druidism. The orcs, because they were all charged up on the Ectoade for whatever reason, and I know somebody's going to come in and be like, it's not because of whatever reason, but the orcs killed Cenarius, and because of that, Night Elves and orcs became basically locked in this conflict of like, we're not gonna fuck with you at all because you killed our guy. Like, you literally killed our guy. Yeah. So that's why the orcs and Night Elves, they would have never gotten over that, and that's why Night Elves and orcs would have never worked together. Again, do I think that was like a conscious decision? No, I think they probably could have rode around it. I think the real reason Night Elves are Alliance is because they didn't want, like I said, one continent to be all Alliance and one continent to be all Horde. So yes. The second thing I wanted to go over that's sort of a conspiracy theory, going back to the beginning of why do I think Elune groomed those trolls, the Shadowtooth trolls. So the Shadowtooth trolls were living in Mount Hyjal, which is basically the sacred mountain of the Night Elves. And then Elune basically guided them to the Well of Eternity so that they could morph. But as they're going over, Dryads and Cenarius and these things called fairy dragons, which are smaller dragons and they're like rainbow colored and shit. They basically lead them to the Well of Eternity. Okay. So that's why I said Elune was grooming them, because Elune in my mind, Elune like orchestrated all of that. You understand what I'm saying? To make sure she had night elves who in turn worshipped her and only her and made her stronger, kind of like how American Gods works or whatever. So, Elune has been working with the night elves before they were even night elves, if that makes sense. So
What a bitch.
what a bitch. No, I mean for like a good thing. You know what I mean? It wasn't like a
Oh, they were groomed for good. Okay.
yeah. It wasn't like a Dan Snyder American Amanda Bynes grooming. It was like a good grooming if there's ever such a thing. So yeah. Let me go over my notes. I know that was a giant info dump, and I did do that in about an hour, which I thought this pod in particular was going to be 3 hours.
You were saying a lot. I couldn't really interject, nor did I want to because I was trying to take it all in.
mhm.
So yes, this is a very information heavy
Right.
episode.
Did you
Why do you say that?
did you have any questions or anything? Like you have to have a pad of paper, I feel like.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I really do need to figure out how I can have something that helps me keep track of all these people.
I literally
They do come back. Like who we've talked about, they come back. So like I'm just concerned that I'm not gonna, and also the names are insane.
Night elf names are like a little
No, every name of every person that you have talked about thus far, from episode 1 to now,
okay.
are insane.
Thrall is insane.
That's kind of insane. Okay, sorry, that's like the least insane name that you've given me. But like even like the gnome names, absolutely bonkers.
Well, the gnome, I'll let you rock out with the gnome names. The gnome names are a little ridiculous.
But I think they're supposed to be. However, I keep wanting to call him Iliad. That's not his name.
No, but I think that I never drew that reference, but I think that that's why he's called Illidan, because of the Iliad. In the Iliad, the guy goes on like an adventure and a quest, and he like finds himself, and that's Illidan's whole thing.
Right. Yeah. So just another thing that they stole. But no, I don't. It's not that I have questions. I think I actually understood a little bit more about. They're called night elves, and I hate that because I want them to be like dark and evil and mean and like whatever.
You want them to be dark elves.
I do.
And you want them to be drow that live underground.
Right. Night elf, dark elf. It all makes sense.
They're called night elves, one, because their name in their language is Children of the Stars, but also because of Elune. That's because Elune.
Right. No. Nighttime.
Out at night.
Nighttime.
There.
I do understand that, but it doesn't make it easier for me. Because I think them again. I understand that like while WoW has taken a lot of inspiration from a lot of different things out that already exist, they've also created a lot of their own rules, which is completely fine. You're allowed to do that.
Right.
But it does confuse me based on my knowledge that I have of more traditional fantasy, if that makes sense.
Well,
and I say that because I'm talking about, we said that orcs were created by Tolkien. Like that's like Tolkien and then Dungeons and Dragons, because that came before WoW. In my head is more of like what I consider traditional fantasy.
You also got to think that Chris Metzen and shit played a shit ton of Dungeons and Dragons. Like that.
Yeah, go off, King.
Right, which is, I think what he was doing was saying like, all right, the way they have it is cool, but it would be cooler if they were like this. And then he incorporated a lot of like the ancient Norse and the ancient Irish into it. Yeah.
And I'm not saying that doesn't add to. I'm just saying that as somebody who has, the whole point of this is I have no knowledge of WoW.
Right.
Besides watching over your shoulder from time to time, trying to play with you and failing. And so I'm just going based off of my knowledge. So it's a little, and it's like hard. I'm like rewiring some things a little bit in a way. So that's my only confusion is like, yes, I want them to be drow so bad.
Yeah.
And they're not.
Yeah. And
they are wood elves, and I would just fucking call them that. Sorry. Yeah. I got a little heated.
I also don't think drow were in until the 4th or 5th edition of Dungeons and Dragons.
You're probably right. I don't know.
I don't think drow were originally, because you have like Drizzt in all those books, and I know you don't know who Drizzt.
Yes, I do.
Okay, well, Drizzt.
He's a drow.
Yeah, he's a drow, but that didn't get popular until I think the drow weren't in. And again, I've never played Dungeons and Dragons because I'm not a loser.
Wow, that's
But
I'm literally sitting right.
But yes, I think it's more to do with
when were drow intro. I promise that I can type.
What's it say?
I don't know anything because I can't type. My fat fingers keep. No, they were
in the original game.
They were.
Oh, okay.
They were introduced in 1977 in Advanced First Edition Monster Manual.
Okay, so they've been around for a while. I didn't know that. I thought that they were later. Were they always playable, or were they just like a? All right, we won't get into that.
Yeah, that's a whole different podcast. Our next podcast can be explaining Dungeons and Dragons to my husband.
I don't think you have a mastery of the story.
Not yet, but I will.
Yeah.
I can tell you all about Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, but that's only one universe of Dungeons and Dragons. I even know that.
I know. Well, I know that.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody should be. Sidebar. I don't think anybody should be talking about Dungeons and Dragons anymore. There's just too much. That's like, if I think WoW is a lot, Dungeons and Dragons is 10 times.
Yeah, and I mean, WoW's only been out. I mean, Warcraft 3. I mean, it came out in the early 2000s. So you got to think, if Dungeons and Dragons came out in the 70s, that's another 30 or 40 years of lore.
And they keep adding races,
right,
to the point where
it's too much. It's time to stop.
It's literally too much. You can play as a bugbear in D&D.
Yeah.
Why?
Why?
So, anyway.
Get
see if you figure that one out, dummy.
So, what did you learn?
Well, like I think I said, I learned. I'm sorry, give me 2 seconds. I was falling out of the chair. I think so. I learned that Night Elves are comparable, if not just wood elves, with a different name and a different skin color, which is great for them. I learned more about Elune, which is interesting. I think that's an interesting god, if you will.
Goddess.
Sorry, my bad.
Please do not misgender my goddess.
We talked a little bit about high elves, which I think are across the board kind of the same thing. They are hoity-toity. They are hoity elf.
Yes, that's one thing I wanted you to pick off on, was that high elves are they're literally bad people because they think they're better than everybody else because they're gifted to use magic. Yeah.
They're like old money of elves. They suck. They're terrible. They're like, I vacation in the Hamptons. Nobody gives a fuck.
Yeah, they're definitely very characterish,
very much like Kim. There's children dying.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, I learned a lot. I learned too much.
I've learned too much. I can only see. All right. How about the Emerald Dream? What did you think of the Emerald Dream?
That's an interesting concept.
Yeah.
I think. I guess it makes sense. I don't fully understand the point of it in the lore.
It's where druids go to church.
No, I understand that. I guess, but did it have to be a parallel universe?
Yes, because a Titan god created it so that they
look what you've done.
Basically, the Emerald Dream exists because the Titans could sort of affect the Emerald Dream, and that would affect Azeroth in a way. So that's why it's there.
But yeah, and I think the addition of astral projecting is interesting. I do like that.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever heard of druids. I mean, I'm sure somewhere along the line they
do go into the spirit world. Hold on. Stop. Both of you.
My number one tip to people out there is 2 cats is enough pets.
2 cats.
You don't
get a dog.
Don't get a dog, and don't get a 3rd cat.
Yeah. So
but anyway, so I don't know that I've ever seen anyone astral project.
Yes.
But that is very interesting, and it aligns, I think, with druidry. I think.
Yeah, like the mists.
Yeah,
that's sort of where Merlin and all the druids go when they have to do some crazy shit, is into the mist. So that's basically what the Emerald Dream is it's the mist.
Yeah, makes sense.
It's the mist lands.
Also really love that women are, of course, once again, as usual, the strong ones, the bold ones, the ones out here putting their neck out for the families and for the betterment of their people. Duh. Am I surprised? No.
Okay, all right. Well, I think that's gonna wrap it us. That's gonna wrap it up for us, guys. Thank you for following us on the journey. Hopefully, the audio was a little bit better. We updated my microphone, got a whole bunch of other shit, so that's why this podcast is gonna come out a little bit later, because we had to learn about all that other shit. So, thank you again for watching. Thank you for everybody watching the shorts. Those keep coming out. I try to put at least 2 or 3 of those out a day. Because we did Alliance this time, that means the next episode is going to be dedicated to the undead. So that'll be fun. You're going to have a lot of fun figuring that out. But besides that, again, you guys could be watching any sort of content. There's a billions and billions of videos on YouTube, but you're sitting here and you're watching our content. So we really appreciate that. It really does mean a lot to be doing this and to be connecting with other people who are also longtime WoW fans. But I still don't have an end line. I think I'm just going to keep that as a meme of me not having an end line to me. Like,
Is it a meme if you call it a meme?
Yeah.
Okay.
What would it be if you didn't?
I don't know. I mean, just don't talk about it.
Just don't talk. But happy questing, happy adventuring out there, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.